at least start. So, once again, hello everyone. I'm so glad that you could all join us for this community engagement today. Um, your being here actually shows how much passionate you are for engaging with the community and doing something for the community. We just thought that we'll get together to ensure that whatever we are doing, we are channelizing our energy in the right direction. We are not reinventing the wheel. And plus, we have the support of each other in doing so. A little bit of housekeeping right before I start. So, the audience, please stay muted. But as I said before, we would love to see your faces. So, please leave your cameras on if possible. You can always put your questions in the chat box, and we will get to it at the very end. It's a long agenda, so we will try to get it done faster and get to your questions later. And we will at that time ask you to unmute yourself and maybe ask questions. While in the chat, the attendees, you can introduce yourselves by mentioning your name, your email address, and the organization that you belong to. That will help us in collecting and engaging with you in a much better way. To begin with, I thought I will throw in a thought. So let me start by saying that the community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes the belonging matter. And as we know, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So with that, Mona, if you can show us the slide, we can start the agenda. Great. Thank you, Mona. So in the agenda, we just now had the welcome and introduction, and then we'll go through the My Family Services overview, the services and programs we have to offer, the challenges, the partnerships, how can you help, and then frequently asked questions in the beginning, and then question and answers at the end. But before I begin and start talking about My Family Services, I have with me Mona Sashithal, who is a name which you cannot forget. You always associated her with My Family Services. Right now, she's the treasurer, but she has a role in everything that My Family Services does. And along with Mona, I also will have Ajit Kulkarni, who's the secretary of My Family Services, but does a lot more than a secretary would do. We are so privileged to have them here. We do have other My Family Services members as well who have always lent their wisdom and have always worked towards making the organization better. A few names being Shanti Menon and Lalita as well. But right now, we'll just concentrate on our speakers. So with that, let's move to the My Family Services overview. And one second. And an introduction of My Family Services. It's a non-profit organization serving South Asian community since 1986. And the South Asian community includes Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, the Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The mission that My Family Services seeks to attain is to raise awareness of the problems facing the South Asian community in Michigan and to provide support services in the areas of partner and family violence. Also, substance abuse, mental health, and senior issues through confidential and culturally sensitive intervention, which means so much for a South Asian community. My Family Services envisions offering a broad spectrum of culturally sensitive preventive and intervention services to build healthy and strong South Asian families, communities in Michigan. To raise awareness is what we are seeking for this community engagement as well, because a few people know this, but I actually came into this country to support a DV victim who was my friend, and just for to support her to have a place to go to if she was thrown out in the middle of the night. If we had known about My Family Services at that point of time, it would have made a great difference in her and our lives as well. So the more we spread it, the better it is for us. Go ahead. And a little about our family within My Family. We are an army of volunteers who basically support everything that we do. They are the building blocks who keep us bonded together and work relentlessly in whatever cause we support. All our board members are also a part of the volunteer team. And of course, we have the executive committee within the board members. We have a dedicated staff which reports to the board, but basically the staff doesn't just work for the sake of working. They have their hearts vested in our mission and in our vision. So go ahead, Mona. The services we provide are basically divided into two: the intervention and the prevention services. The intervention services are basically direct services of intake, counseling, and referrals. The prevention services are the outreach ones, which include the workshops, education, training, collaboration. And basically, we want the mind shift to happen from an intervention to prevention so that we can prevent any of these things in which we need to intervene. Also, we also provide confidential, professional, and free counseling of anything related to domestic violence, adjustment to this new culture, depression, issues affecting seniors, parenting, substance abuse, workplace challenges, and grief and bereavement support. My Family Services happens to be the only organization serving the South Asian community for crisis intervention and prevention. And it is for the South Asian community that we work for. It's not just one country. So the issues that we encounter and the services that we offer are some of them include domestic abuse, including interpartner violence and senior issues. And My Family Services provides culturally sensitive free counseling and safety measures. Issues regarding to immigration, they provide legal help or referral. Issues with lack of traditional family support, the counselors provide safe, non-judgmental environment in person or over the phone. In the issues of difficulty in adjusting to this new culture, and we've all seen it when we came to this country, My Family Services provides culturally sensitive counseling. For language barriers, we have translators for several different regional languages, and we reach out to other people as well in case we need help on that. The issues of unfamiliarity with legal system, we help navigate the legal system and the paperwork. And with that, I will hand over to Mona to take you further with the journey.
Hello, thank you, Vatsala. That was a good overview of what My Family Services is. I just want to talk about the first MAI, which is not an acronym. It is My means in most South Asian languages, My means mother. And we offer our support to the people, the individuals who come to My Family Services for help as if we are their family. And we become their family in this foreign land for them. When Vatsala mentioned about why we are unique, there are many organizations that help other individuals. And especially during the pandemic, there are many, many organizations that came up with helping the community. And that is that is really great that we are all here for the same purpose of building a stronger community. One of the uniqueness about us is that we have been around since 1986. We have helped over thousands of individuals and families. And now we have grown into an organization where we have 6 staff members, in addition to the 16 board members and an army of active volunteers, which are in the order of 50 plus very active volunteers. And as Vatsala mentioned, all the board members are volunteers as well. So in addition to the services that Vatsala talked about, we have 2 programs. One is the STOP grant, the program, which is the empowerment program. And so this one is, we are recipient of a STOP grant that is awarded by the MDHHS, which is the Michigan Department of Human and Health Services, under the Violence Against Women Act. We received this grant in 2016. So this is our 6th year of the grant. And under the grant, what we do is we offer classes. I wouldn't call classes, it's really twofold. One is to make them aware of the DV situations, DV advocacy, and also offer them life skill sessions. So this is really for the potential DV victims or the DV survivors in order to rebuild their lives again. So many have taken advantages of these classes. We have 3 sessions going on, one in Madison Heights, one in Canton, and one in Hamtramck. Of course, during the pandemic, all these sessions are being held remotely through Zoom. We have instructors, DV advocate, we call them DV advocates, who take the sessions to teach them the life skills. And we have DV counselors who are professionally trained caseworkers who offer them the DV advocacy. And the other program is the Golden Club, which we launched in 2021, just last year in August, which is a relaunch of our program, which we had done back in 2016. So this is a free program for senior people in the age of 60 plus. There's no membership, but it's guided by the trained and certified social workers who are staff members of My Family Services. And the services range from senior-only events, webinars, and having access to dedicated volunteer, ability to request transportation assistance, etc. We had our first in-person senior-only event last year on 21st of August, which was the National Senior Day. And we are planning our second one this year on August 21st also. We call it YADE. YADE means memories, sharing your memorable event in your life. So YADE 1.0 was in August 2021. YADE 2.0 will be held in August 21st, 2022. So you can mark your calendars for that. Our process, I know that many of you may not be aware of how we do the services. One of the things is confidentiality is of utmost importance. The South Asian community being a small community, we want the individuals who come to us asking for help, all their information has to remain confidential. That's the only way we can guarantee that people will reach out to My Family Services, because we don't want any of their information to be shared with others. As a matter of fact, even as board members, we are not aware of people who are reaching out to My Family Services for help. Only the direct service team, which consists of the intake people and the social workers who are aware of the people reaching out to us for help. Now, these, again, one of the things is that there is no discussion about the gender, about the nationality, about the religion. Anybody can help reach out to My Family Services. We do not turn away anybody who knocks on our door. But again, it's up to the person to accept the help that we offer. So the way the process is that the client will start at the very top here. The client approaches My Family Services when she or he is ready to get the help. They need to be themselves ready to get the help and reach out to My Family Services. My Family Services will provide the information, option, and support through counseling, referrals, and resources. If the client decides how they would like to proceed, then we will go ahead and open a case, and we assign a caseworker, because sometimes the person just wants referral or information and wants some time to decide what their options are and take the next step. So when they're ready to take the next step is when they would come back to My Family Services, and that's when we will assign a caseworker to them and take it from there. And whatever is, the caseworker is just going to advise them what their options are, but it's up to the individual to make the decisions about their life. The client support ends when the client decides she or he needs no more support or does not call back My Family Services. That's when we will go ahead and close the case. If for any reason the need of the client changes and they call back My Family Services, we start again as opening a new case, because it may be that they have now changed their mind and they have decided to take the next step from the options that were offered to them during this when they reached out My Family Services the first time. Any questions so far? If you have questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you could unmute yourself and ask the question as well. As we go along, there are some frequently asked questions. We are going to take care of them at the end of this presentation. But if you have other questions that are not answered, you can definitely put them in the chat box. Okay.
Can I ask something, Mona?
Yeah, Devi. Yeah.
This is Devi. I just wanted to know that My Family Service work and ethics and the limitations are just for you because it's a very confidential matter. I understand it's very nice that you are explaining the exact process and the protection of the client is the main thing, and confidentiality, because there is a lot of legal issues covered. But when it comes to the other organizations, we would love to support you. I'm from Iowa, and you know that for years we have always been collaborated together. Yeah. But which way we can help to support in your process of or your activity, maybe the mental health issue, that is little easygoing idea rather than protecting the client So please guide us. What can we do to help your mission for the community? We all are here to help. I mean, I know that
Absolutely, Devi, and
we
that's a
try
very
to do right. We do more like a, and not entertainment exactly, but
yeah. I
make
mean,
the women
yeah.
feel together.
Basically, one of the things as why we are unique is that there are many social, cultural, religious, political,
Exactly.
business organizations,
Right.
but we are the only organization that offers services
Right.
to regardless of the nationality, and regardless of the gender, regardless of their socioeconomic. But we
And
focus mainly on the domestic abuse, senior
right.
abuse, mental health, and senior issues. But as far as your question as to how you can help, we will talk about it towards the end of it. And if
Oh,
that
okay.
question is not
Sorry.
answered by the end, I will, I will talk about it again. Okay? Is that okay,
Okay.
Devi?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yes.
So, in spite of all that we talked about, the services, how long we've been out here, um, you know, like like Vatsala mentioned, a few years ago when she came into this country and she knew of somebody that needed help but didn't know about My Family Services, right? So um, even though we've been here for 36 years, one of the some of the challenges that we face as My Family Services is that we are considered as a model minority, and as a result, within the community itself, domestic violence is not accepted. There is a denial to accept domestic violence happens in our community. I remember I joined My Family Services back in 2007, and we had to, whenever we went for outreach and talked to people literally used to confront us saying that you are the home breakers, and it doesn't happen in our community. Domestic abuse doesn't happen in our community, is what the general perception was. But that has changed now. People know it happens in every community, and it doesn't matter whether you live in $1 million home or whether it's not dependent on the education, not on socioeconomic conditions. So it happens everywhere in every society. And we are not model minority. It happens in just like any other situation. It happens in all South Asian communities as well. The second challenge that we face is the mainstream acceptance and perception of who we are. There is not enough knowledge about our cultural diversity. And therefore, it is hard to understand. And we have given that model minority perception to the entire, to the general public, and that's why it's hard for the acceptance and perception of who we are. Of course, with the hate and discrimination, we are all, even though we may not have experienced ourselves, but we know that it happens. It is out there. The next thing is that there is not enough data available regarding the domestic abuse in South Asian community. As a result, the federal and state grants for consideration, they need the data, and there is not enough data available. So as My Family Services, we are doing every effort to help the statisticians, the researchers, to build this data so that we can help get more grants. We are trying to educate the federal and state grantees so that they are aware of underserved, culturally sensitive minority groups. So that is where My Family Services, in addition to the services that we offer, our role is also helping to increase the federal and state grants in these areas. Again, absence of resources. Mainstream shelters do not comply with the food and the language barriers. You know, if there is a victim who has to be housed in a mainstream shelter, but you know they are either vegetarians or they need halal meat only, there is no way that the mainstream shelters will provide that. So there is no understanding of the cultural diversity in the mainstream. And then lack of community leadership with policymakers, because this is where the policymakers will come into picture to make this happen at the infrastructure in the, you know, that these things are included in the infrastructure. And the last but not the least is the sustainable funding. I want to touch upon where the funding comes from for My Family Services. Our main funding comes from the fundraisers that we do, the 3 fundraisers that we do. And we depend on the community donating the money to us. Our budget is almost 150,000 a year, and we try to raise that money through the donations received from the community. Now, we have 2 offices, we have 6 staff members. So you can imagine, in order to help the clients that we have. So during the pandemic, during the 2 years, we didn't have any fundraisers. And as a result, we depended solely on the state and the federal grants that we received. And Shanti, you can just raise your hand so that I just want to give a shout out to Shanti, who is our grant writer and who does a fantastic job of exploring all the possible grants that are out there that subsidize our funding. So were we able to see Shanti? We'll introduce
Yep.
her at the
Here
end.
I am.
We can see her.
Okay, all right. Seek partnership, you know, that's why you all are here. We are seeking partnership with other South Asian organizations as well as the members. And we are also in partnership with the all sister organizations throughout United States. On our website, you'll find a tab calling our network, where we have the list of all the South Asian organizations in United States. We do get calls from other states as well. And as we mentioned, we do not turn away anybody. When we get these calls, we offer them help. Our caseworkers, our counselors, our intake people will talk to them, will offer them free counseling. But as far as the any family law or immigration, they need to go to their own state because the laws are different in each state. So we will direct them to the sister organization within their state. We recruit leaders with interest in DV and mental health to create and spread awareness about My Family Services intervention and prevention programs. As Vatsala mentioned, we have intervention where we actually help the crisis, people in crisis. And then the prevention is where we bring in the awareness of domestic abuse so that we can prevent that from happening. And then in that effort, we partner with local schools, universities, networking groups to raise awareness around cultural implications and psyche around DV and IPV. We do hold town hall meetings with local hospitals, local law enforcement, in order to make them aware of our services. So that way, when victims call 911 or end up with at the law enforcement in the hospitals, they do call us in order to get help from My Family Services, because some of these people may not understand the language, they do not understand the system, and even if they are in the local shelters, the local shelter can house them only for certain number of days. Then they have to be out of there. Or they are just given resources, but they have to do all their research on their own. And some of these people, because of lack of language, may not know the how to go around in the legal system. That's where My Family Services comes into picture. Our network, like I said, we partner with the mainstream organizations in Michigan. Some of these are listed right underneath here. We partner with them. Their social workers work with us whenever they have. We collaborate with them by using their shelters, because we don't have our transitional housing our own. So if there is an emergency, we'll send them to these shelters. We have alliance with the local spiritual organizations, alliance with community organization based in Michigan, collaboration with hospitals, local law enforcement, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and of course the sister organization across the US. So that's our network. And all these are listed on our website. If you ever have time and interest, you should go to our website and explore all the information that you can find on our website, because there is tons and tons of information about who we are, what we do, who our collaborators are, and many such resources are available on our website. With that, I want to hand it over to Ajit, who is the backbone of this organization as the board secretary. But as Vatsala mentioned, he does much more than just being a board secretary. So here is Ajit.
Thank you, Monatai. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll walk through a few slides, but first of all, welcome everyone, and we really appreciate you spending your afternoon, with My Family Services. Thank you. So I want to walk through a couple slides, about recognition My Family Services received so far. So, whether, we've received recognition over the years from grassroots organizations as yourself, or our business organizations. So we have, like the advocacy award we have received, from APIA, or the award from MAPAC, for community service and philanthropy, or Fifth Third Bank, giving us the Michigan Humanitarian Award. Even Farmington Hills, high risk response team recognized, amongst the cultural organizations go, we have TANA, or we have, DIVA, who have recognized, recognized us. Our sister organizations within the community, First Step, who provide DV services to the mainstream, they have also recognized us, as well as the Indian Americans, of Michigan, our state representative, Padma Kuppa, she led, and recognized, us for it. More than so, and we really appreciate all of this recognition, because this recognition, allows us to get in front of people who may not know My Family Services, and we are able to expand our horizons, if you will. One more recognition that I would like to specifically mention and talk a little bit about it is the GuideStar's platinum seal of recognition. So Monatai and Vatsala spoke about confidentiality. The confidentiality part here goes with the clients that we deal with. Their information is always kept confidential. However, the operations that we run, the way we conduct our business, My Family Services is very transparent, about its operations, the funding, the board members, and all of it. And it's that reason why GuideStar, over the years has awarded us with the platinum seal of transparency. So who is GuideStar? You could go to guidestar.org and get more details, but that's basically an organization that has central, basically source of information about, all the US nonprofits, if you will. You could go to their website and look for My Family Services, right? And then you can get an understanding of what are some of the pieces of information that they track. You could verify some of the credentials that My Family Services has. But basically, as I said, My Family Services values transparency of how it runs its operations, and we report that information to the GuideStar organization. And which is why, this is not just 1 year, but for the last several years, we've been receiving their platinum seal of transparency. And we are one of the first, many amongst the many organizations, we are only one of the few in Southeast Michigan, right, that we are recognized with this honor. So there are not many organizations who are able to transparently portray how they run their operations and things. So I just want to highlight that we keep the confidentiality of the clients in one perspective, but regarding how we run our operations, there's a lot of transparency, and you can go to myfs.org to look for that information. So when we go on the next slide, I would like to talk about some of the upcoming events that we have. Because as we have gone, My Family Services has been in existence since 1986, but we still cannot sit here and proudly say that every household from Southeast Asian background knows My Family Services. And I think that's something to be talked about, right? So how do we basically improve upon that situation? How can we make sure that My Family Services is known in the community? And then the next 2-3 slides, I'll talk through that. The first slide is about the upcoming events that we have. There are two reasons for the upcoming events that we have. One is getting in front of the community, getting leaders as yourself and other people in our auditoriums or to our walkathons or to our appreciation banquets, and telling you more about it, so that you can go back to your organizations and proliferate that message. We can get the senior citizens in our Yade 2.0 event, and then have a dialogue with them and see how we can address their concerns. And then the second aspect is fundraising. As Monatai mentioned, we have more than $150,000 annual budget, and we couldn't do it without the community donations that we are looking for. So in that spirit, we have our annual fundraiser coming up on July 30th. We will be announcing those details here in a matter of days, but we really request all of you to help us market that event, publish that event. Please do show up, please bring your friends and family, so that we can make this fundraiser a great success. August 21st is our Golden Club or senior event. August 21st happens to be Senior Citizens Day, and we have started a tradition to celebrate that day with a senior event, and details of that will be announced shortly as well. The date is fixed, the venue is fixed. We are just sequencing our information. Every year we've been hosting a walkathon, and this year that walkathon is on September 11th. Again, we'll be communicating those details, but we would really appreciate if you could join us in overwhelming numbers and then make that event a success. And finally, our appreciation banquet is we hold it every year. This year it'll be December 3rd, and that's when we would like to update everybody on the work we have done in all of 2022. And if there is any unfinished business, definitely we want to announce that, as well as seek your help, seek your donations, so that our 2023 can continue to be success. So when we go to the next slide, so how can your organization help us? And in the following slide, I'll also talk about how can you individually help us. So this slide, I really want to talk about the organization that you represent. How can you help us? So, uh, since My Family Services is not yet a household name, whether it is for all the reasons that my family, Monata mentioned about the challenges we are facing, right? So how can you help us spread the word about My Family Services? Some of the services and counseling that we provide, these events that I mentioned about, how can you help us market those events, get those events in front of your members? Can the My Family Services website link be on your website with the My Family Services logo, so people can very easily click on it and they can learn about My Family Services? We can provide you information about My Family Services at regular intervals. If you have a regular email communication going on to your members, or WhatsApp communication, or any other social media communication, can we give you a quick blurb that maybe you can communicate to your team? The more we stay in front of everybody, the higher chances that the message gets proliferated and we are there to help everybody, right? If you have events going on, we are coming out of all the COVID related challenges, and everything was virtual, be it a virtual event or an in-person event. But if you can get some amount of stage time with your audience, barely 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you can give us, we would definitely like to be in front of your audience. And then if you can make My Family Services your beneficiary can be financial, but beneficiary can also be in terms of messaging. We would like to proliferate ourselves in front of your audience. When we go to next slide, I would like to talk to you about, so what can you do individually, right? So in addition to working for these organizations, thanks to social media, we ourselves have a very huge network of personal friends and family. The friends and family do not have to be in US. They could be anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world. And through our sister organizations, we can help connect, right? If you know of somebody that's not only maybe facing a challenge here in Michigan, but if they're facing it in any part of the world, through our sister organizations, maybe we can help you connect with them, right? Sometimes we have received calls from family members in the original countries, whether it was India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, or Bhutan, and not necessarily from the victims here, and we have helped those scenarios. So you could help individually spread the word. You could participate in our events. You could be an event sponsor to us, or individually you can donate. More than that, you could be a volunteer, or a board member of My Family Services, and definitely you can help us. The easiest way you could start this is if you could subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter. That's when you will know all the activities going on. You'll know about all the open positions we have, and so on and so forth, right? So this is where you can individually help us, while your organization is also helping us, at a higher level. When we go to the next slide, I would like to talk about some of the opportunities we have. Uh, we are always looking for dynamic leaders in the community, who can help us continue our My Family Services operations forward, right? So currently we have representation from some of the countries, whether it is Nepal, Bangladesh, India. Obviously we have representation. We had representation from Pakistan as well, and then the individual has taken a break for a few months, and will join us pretty soon here. So we are looking for leaders from other South Asian countries that can be on our board, and can give us that perspective in that community, right? We are looking for someone to support treasurer's position. Monata is our treasurer right now for many years, but we are looking for a backup. We are looking for somebody who can fill in those shoes. We are looking for caseworkers, from South Asian origin, so that we can expand our services in the culturally sensitive fashion here. We have one open position for office, assistant office administrator. So in addition to being a volunteer, these are some of the opportunities that you can definitely support, and all of these are available at My Family Services. At maifs.org, you could basically visit the website and get all of this information. So finally, really to conclude, My Family Services pledges building a stronger community of South Asian people of South Asian origin, and we really appreciate all of you joining us today. We've come together here to understand what My Family Services do. Our request is, let us continue to work together. Let us continue, to bind together, so that My Family Services can go to every household of Southeast Asian origin, and let they be aware that if they are facing any challenges, or if they know of somebody who is facing challenges, then they can basically educate their friends and family, and make sure that they can get all the necessary help from My Family Services. Since 1986, we have never turned anyway, and we pledge that we are not gonna turn anyway, no matter what it takes, whether it is a human resource challenge we work through, or if it's a financial issue. My Family Services always figured out a way, and we pledge that we'll figure out a way to build a stronger community here. So at this point in time, again, I would like to definitely thank everybody for joining here. We want to spend the remaining 10 odd minutes in basically answering any questions you may have. We'll walk through a few slides about some pre-put together FAQs, if you will. Monata, I'll request you to walk through that. But then at any point in time, just basically unmute yourself and elaborate if we haven't answered your questions in that arena. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajit. So I come back to answer, take care of some of the frequently asked questions. And these questions come up time and again from various people. And Devi, this is where we have 5 questions that are answered. Take a look at those. If it's not answered, then I will answer your question, okay? So one of the questions that is always asked is, how do you define success? What is a success story? And our answer to that is, success is when the client takes the first step to call My Family Services for help, which signifies that the individual has recognized that he or she is in an abusive relationship, and they do not deserve to be treated in a manner that demeans them as a human being. Statistics show that victims of domestic violence usually takes about 7 attempts before they actually take the step to leave that situation. So the success may be decades away, the road, when they first call us, but it requires the strength and courage to leave an abusive situation. Therefore, the success is when they call My Family Services the first time. So that is the success. Success is measured by the client feeling independent and able to manage on their own. And according to one of our caseworkers, this is what our caseworkers have put together. The last one is, success is when a client tells you that he or she was able to sleep peacefully at night, is starting to hope and dream better again for a better future ahead, is able to smile and enjoy moments in his or her life. They're rebuilding their lives again. They have picked up the broken pieces and starting their life again. And that is so important, that that's what the success is for us. in our mind, that is the success. We cannot put, it's unmeasurable. You cannot measure human services as a percentage wise. The next question that we often come across is, I have a friend who is going through a DV situation, but refuses to acknowledge or accept it or look for help. How do I help? So you as a friend, how can you help? So the answer to that is, be there as an empathetic listener for your friend. Be non-judgmental of him or her or the situation. Provide him or her resources to find professional help. Remember, we cannot help someone who doesn't want help. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, we will provide all the options to the person who comes to us for help. But it's up to the person to accept those options that are given to them. Because we always are looking at the long-term solutions, not immediate solutions. My family services caseworkers are professionally trained masters in social work, and they are trained, they have several years of experience in working in these fields, and they know how to work with these people, with the people who need help, in order to give them the counseling that they need so that they can make better choices for themselves. The next one is, can I call my family services on behalf of my friend, neighbor, cousin, colleague, and request help for him or her? Anyone can call my family services and get the information and share with the individual. But remember, my family services can help the individual only if the individual initiates the call for help. My family services cannot support your friend without talking to them. My family services cannot initiate the call to the person who needs help. The call has to come from the person who needs help. You could be present with that person, but the person who is needing the help needs to hear all the options that are offered by our counselor. We can offer you the support. If you need yourself any support, resources, and guidance as to what you need to do, we are there for you. My family services counselors, the intake people, are available at any time at the phone number that we have. You can always call our office and talk to them. If you yourself need any support as to how to help these people, your friends in need. If I give you my friends, neighbors, cousins, again, the whole, anybody in your circle, a phone call and ask them to call my family services. Can we do that? Can you call and talk to him or her? Like I said, unfortunately, my family services is not able to initiate the call with the victim. You as friend can provide resource to the individual. The call has to be initiated by the individual seeking help. When they feel free, they are ready to receive the help. My family services cannot. And when I keep saying my family services, any similar organization throughout the United States or around the world works in the same manner. These are the regulations that are implemented by the state because of the kind of business, kind of service we offer. We are compliant with the regulations that are set by the state. The 501c3 and our licensing will go away if we are in breach of any of these situations. Therefore, we are very much bound by the confidentiality. It is client-centered confidentiality. As Ajit mentioned, we are the members of Platinum Seal because of our transparency as far as our financials are concerned, as far as our business administration is concerned, all that is open to public. You can ask us any question about that. But as far as the clients are concerned, our hands are tied. We cannot do anything other than giving you the information about our phone number and the services that we offer. Can I call and get an update on a friend or a person that I referred to the agency? DV agencies operate under a strict code of confidentiality, and as a result, My Family Services is unable to share any information related to a client, regardless of whether you referred him or her to My Family Services. If the friend wants us to release any information, My Family Services needs them to sign a release of information consent form specific to what they want to share with the specific individual. And the signed form will have an expiration date. So again, if you referred a friend and I understand totally that you are worried about the friend and you want to know whether the friend received the help or not, you cannot ask My Family Services as to the progress of what's going on. If you want, you can talk to the person yourself and see what they can tell you. But from My Family Services, our lips are sealed, our hands are tied. Unless we get a release of information consent form signed from the client. I cannot emphasize enough about the confidentiality, the client-centered confidentiality that we are bound by. Okay, so that really comes to the end of our presentation, and we will go into, I'll stop sharing and we'll go into the question and answer. And I think that Devi,
Lalit,
I can ask Devi, is Devi's question answered, or we can go ahead and answer Devi's question?
and Lalit has had his hand raised for
Okay,
quite some
all
time.
right.
So.
Yeah.
No, Mona, I
Yeah.
think my question is answered. As
Yeah,
you
hold on
said,
for 1 minute. Can you change to the
Yeah.
gallery view or?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay, all right.
yeah. But the thing is, as an organization, I mean, I understand your motive to help us on help My Family Service. But as we are getting all the organizations together, as organization, how do you expect as IVA, I can help as individual. If anybody on the neighborhood or in the society has some issue, we try to reach you. But tell me, as IVA, as organization, which way you are expecting? Because the way you had presented as a seminar, invite all the organization, but I just would like to know as organization, and all this other help Mona mentioned was more as an individual to help.
In one of the slides that Ajit covered as your organization, what can your organization do? And one of those is to spread the word to your members of your organization. Invite
that I agree with you.
Yeah.
That I definitely agree that we
Invite
try
My Family
to.
Services to any of your either virtual or in-person events
Oh,
to
definitely.
talk about My Family Services. Any of our information that you can share on your website, a link
That
to our
I will
website.
mention to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
But
and just one suggestion. And Devi, thank you for being here, first of all. And to your question, in a more collaborative way is what you are basically asking, right?
Right, right,
How can
exactly.
we go further? So I would think that if we sat down together to figure out where are the areas where you could help us and we could help guide things towards you, I think that would make sense, right?
Right.
So a kind of a workshop meeting together as organizations?
Devi, if you remember, we have done events in the past
helpful.
together.
And like I
You know?
said, as IVA has always helped
Yeah, and we have
and collaborated
done
with
events
my family
together, so
service
we can
in
think
every
about doing
event,
that again.
every last several years.
Yeah,
But we'll try to do that and we'll spread the word. I mean, we'll try to do the best to support. I mean, we have supported. That is not
yes,
the question.
absolutely.
And as an individual, we all will be aware. I will make our members aware to spread the word that this service is available and please help. And as you say, certain things are confidential. So those are, we have to keep it as a confidential,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
But I agree, this was a very informative seminar and I learned a lot about your work, mission and vision, and the limitations due to the confidentiality. There is a lot of legality involved also, but we'll definitely try to help and support my family service and spread the words. And this is the first time I got the detail of your organization work and your organization taking care of the members of our community. And I will
Thank you.
appreciate, if possible, if you can forward the recording of this.
Yes, we can do
Sure.
that.
We'll try to
We can do
spread
that.
little more detail of your activity and your work. So
Sure.
thank
Thank you.
you
We
very
will
much
do
for
that.
inviting us.
Lalit,
Thank
you want to
for
go
being
ahead?
here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Namaste, everyone. Lalit Sethi from MICS, and thank you for inviting us. And I was looking forward
Anything
to
else?
have this kind of conversation with MIVES. And you see, maybe there are multiple my team member from MICS, Hema Rachmale, Chandruji, Dr. Anvita Saini. So multiple member for MICS joined because I think we have a major stake into this collaboration, what is called community engagement. Because 2 years back, when we created MICS, is Indian American Community Services, the top mission is crisis support. And with crisis, we mean any crisis, doesn't matter what. We do not distinguish, it's a domestic or some very personal level, some other issues, immigration issues, medical issues, whatever you're going through in your life. So that is our top mission. Second one is promoting our ancient heritage. So we really want to work together because we see you as a lead in the domestic violence or domestic issues or mental stress or seniors. We would like to work with you. If we get those kind of cases, we'd like to refer those cases to you because you have already developed the leadership and you have the resources, you have the infrastructure. So this is kind of collaboration. We are looking at the same time, if you have any other cases that you receive that is not part of your core competence, you can refer that to MICS, and we will be glad to take on that and support you or support those clients or individuals who reach out to you. So looking forward to the collaboration, and this is one of the driving the unity, driving the collaboration. That's what MICS stands for, and we are looking forward to work with you.
Absolutely, Lalit. And that's that's why we have been doing this collaborative effort to bring the communities together. Since 2013, we do hold the community leadership once a year. And I'm glad that you're here. And together, we all have the same objective in mind, to bring the community, to build stronger communities. And we have to build upon each other's expertise. And like you said, we have the infrastructure for the domestic violence help, because we have professionally trained caseworkers. We have all the infrastructure that is needed for that. So whenever those kind of cases come, instead of reinventing the wheels, if you can reach them, refer them to My Family Services, that's wonderful. And like what you mentioned, any other kinds of that don't fall into our categories, we can always refer them to mix, and that's how we can do our collaborative way. As a matter of fact, I see Chandru here, and we have Chandru also represents Savi, and we have referred some of our clients to Savi when they needed the citizenship and those kind of things, help with the citizenship, in getting their citizenship. So when we know that it's not our expertise, but they are part of, they reach out to us for that kind of help, we do reach out to other people and make sure that they get the help that they need, because we don't want anybody to be stranded in this community where they can't, where they don't know what to do, So
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, I just want to emphasize, the strength of the society doesn't come from the individual person or individual organization. That is a sum of all the organizations. And like you mentioned, you have certain domain, Savi has certain domain, there are other organizations, they have certain domain. Let's just collaborate on those together going forward. So we can be a much better society in total, and we can serve the community, whatever help and support is needed. So let's strengthen our.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let's make that pledge, Lalit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any question?
Yeah,
Okay, I think
BK and Chandru.
Chandru has
Yeah.
a.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Chandru.
So I thank you. It's a very nice seminar. One question. I was looking at the slides, and Monaji, you were mentioning about definition of success, right? In terms of the courage that a client or a victim has or generates over a period of time to able to make the first call and approach My Family Services. So from that perspective, I think it's a success story related to that particular individual, right? That they have reached a part of their journey towards the solution, so they have picked up their first call. But the other thing I wanted to ask is, the wonderful work that we are doing without breaching confidentiality or any individual case. At the end of the year, when you have your gala or you have your programs, are you able to share statistics in terms of how many people actually called telephonically, did reach out to you for help? Like, suppose you get 50 calls a year, just throwing out a number, and how many people you are able to assist in some ways, because that would give us a perspective about what the need is in the society. Sometimes what might happen is that I talk to a lot of government folks, and from what I hear with law enforcement and other agencies, is there's a disproportionately high occurrence of DV within our community, which does not come out. There's silently, people suffer. So I think one of the thing is to educate the other communities by just sharing statistics, because people sometimes tell me that, oh, maybe they get 5 or 6 calls a year. I'm just giving you, some perspective. Really, are there so many cases? We really don't know. So I think, at the end of the year, it should, if you can share some information about how many clients you are able to at least provide initial level of, confidence of support without giving any numbers of who they are or what they are.
Right.
Is it possible to share that
Okay,
kind of
Chandru, let me just answer that question. Every year we have an annual report, and which is also on our website. And
Okay.
if you look at the annual report, the very first page is
As
where
the-
we talk about the cases that were supported during the previous year. Okay. So that is exactly the information that you are asking for. And that is in every year, we put that in our annual report, which is sent out, which is available on our website, as well as sent it out through, if you are part of
Email.
our newsletter, you will get the link to our newsletter, to the annual report as well. So that information is available as to and we break it down, the
By the
total
category.
numbers, and then by category into like marriage counseling, senior issues, domestic abuse. We break it down. We don't break it down any further into the ethnicity of it, of the
Yeah,
clients,
yeah,
but
yeah,
just the
that's okay.
numbers are out there for you to look at. There are annual reports since 2013, so you can always look at even the archives of the annual report and take a look at how many we have served per year. Now, just
Okay.
to give you an example, this is just the end of April, just starting May, right? We already have about 46 cases right now that we are working on. Okay. That will just give you a high level as to what we do and how our 3 caseworkers who are working tirelessly beyond, they go really out of their
Way
comfort
to do
zone
it.
to help the people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Munaj.
And-
I will
okay.
look at the reports. Thank
Yeah.
And Chandruji, one more suggestion could be that maybe we compile it into a comparison chart for all these years, and that might probably be a better thing for you to educate the other community.
Yeah, because what I can do is, Vatsalaji, I can look out for the agencies that are able to fund my family services better by getting this information and talking to a few people. And advocacy is required over here, because if we understand
Absolutely.
what are the volumes we are handling, you have your regular source of funding, but beyond that, how can we build our capacity? That's what we're thinking.
And
That is
exactly,
really
and that
wonderful.
was one of the challenges that was mentioned, right? That we need some leadership to talk to the lawmakers,
Right.
to have these, because there's not enough data. And Shanti is here. We have struggled when we write the grants. We struggle to get this data, so we have started building our own data now, and we also help other researchers doing this research, because no matter what, whether it's a federal grant, state grant, the first thing they want to know is the statistics as to what is the demographic need for this kind of service. How can we, why do you need the money? You need to justify the money, So that's how
Great point.
we have all that information available. If you have any more specific data that you need, let us
We
know.
can always
I
work
know that
towards.
you are involved in MAPAC as well. You're one of the commissioners, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll be more than happy to provide that information to you. I had
Okay.
seen somebody else here.
BK has been with his hand raised for
I
quite
just
some
want
time.
to add to what Mona said. Two challenges that we face is that there is very, very little research in terms of domestic violence in the South Asian community. There's quite a bit on the Southeast Asians, the Chinese and the Koreans, but for some reason, our community lags behind. And any report that you read quotes a study done in the 80s or 90s in Boston with a very small sample size. There isn't a whole lot going on. There's more work done in Canada, and there's information available from Canada, but very little in the United States. And then Michigan, the state government in Michigan also publishes a crime stats report by each county. But what that gives is the number of domestic violence victims, reported cases among all Asians. And it doesn't extrapolate or de-aggregate the data to include, to give us figures, numbers for South Asians. So it's a huge handicap for us, because we are such a culturally specific organization. And when we are writing grants, they want numbers for South Asians that are very, very difficult to come by.
Sure.
Almost impossible.
Anybody else? Somebody else has
BK has been
Oh,
has
hi,
had his
BK.
raised.
Right.
Thank you
Namaste
for
and
being here, BK.
no, thank you for inviting me. Just a couple things from our end, from our Samaj point of view. One thing I did observe today, and just sometimes you're involved with the organization. Of course, I pride myself as being a kind of a backbencher volunteer, but for my family services. But I think awareness is a big issue. So I just have two suggestions if you would like to take that up. From an Arya Samaj point of view, this is probably not coming through. It's a bi-monthly magazine that I'm responsible for publishing. It circulates around the United States, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 readers. So what I'd like to do is offer on a quarterly basis or every other month, uh, just an article, one or two page article that we can write about DV or other issues that My Family Services wants to make the community aware of, right? Uh, lo- um, so that way, I, as a general reader, I may be reading, picking up this magazine and say, you know what, this is interesting. I didn't know about this. So I think this will help. And then I'll encourage other organizations, whether it be through the publications or mailing lists, to share that same public article. It can be a very generic thing. It doesn't have to be My Family Services oriented. Of course, we'll publish, do recognition and all that. And secondly, I do remember attending because when you become an onboard or volunteer, you go through a DV 101 course.
Yes.
I'll give you a suggestion if you want, and we can discuss it more detail offline. I think if we created a generic course for the wider community, okay,
Absolutely.
what that will help is as an individual, maybe as a potential victim, but also as just a known citizen that DV does exist, and these are the 5 signs to look for, right? Um, and just put together a 30-minute seminar. And what I would like to do is we can use the RSMARCH platform, and I can invite our membership from all over the country in the United States and Canada. We can open it up to, and we can keep it a virtual event. It doesn't have, that's one of the blessings of COVID is that we can have a large audience in front of
Yes.
us, right? And maybe from a fundraising point of view, after you do 2 sessions, a 30-minute seminar, we can do a telethon fundraising, right? And I'll be happy to, you know, uh, assist in any way. So thank you for
That's a
continue to
wonderful
doing what you
idea,
can
BK. As a matter
and
of
whatever
fact,
we can do.
we call it like chai with my kind of thing, which we
Right.
used to do in the past in person.
I
But
remember that.
this is a
This
very
is a much
wonderful idea to actually do, not just bring the awareness of our services, but actually talk about DV.
DV as
What is
such.
DV? How to
That
see the
that's
signs of it,
right.
Yes.
And we did one earlier this year, along with the DIVA kind of hosted that. The Detroit Indian Women's Association hosted that, and it was very well received. There was
Yes.
it wasn't unfortunately widely marketed, but it was well received.
Well
And
received.
I think that we were thinking of doing that, and your organization or any organization can invite us to do that, and we will talk about it a little more, about bringing the awareness of
Yeah. Yeah.
the issues that are in our community, and how you can see these flags
Signs of it.
and what can you do as a bystander.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And to add to what Mona said, I think that's very important because one of the reasons that keep people not coming forward when they are in DV situations is a lack of understanding of immigration. And I think we need to put that awareness out there that, people are not going to lose custody of their children or, be deported if they come forward and want to get out of abusive relationships. I think for a lot of women in our community, that is a huge issue.
Yeah. So great suggestions, I would
So
say.
thank you so much for everybody. Anybody else has any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Sudha Ramamurthy from Iowa, and I have a question. Thank you, first of all, for the wonderful service that MAI is providing for the community. And couple of questions that folks from Iowa had is, your scope, does it include kids below 18, or is it primarily for adults? And also today, with the topic being mental health, especially post-pandemic, do you also cover mental health issues?
So what I would say is, when children under 18 means if it is part of the family abuse, it is included, okay, anything under as family abuse, and that's where the senior issues come, because the senior abuse falls into the family abuse. Okay, the intimate partner violence, which is the IPV, which is the between the
Adult.
spouses. Okay, but then family abuse is where the senior abuse is, where the children are abused, where the grandparents and the grandchild is abusing the grandparent, and all those kind of things fall in that. Okay, so now as far as the mental health and the substance abuse, those under the umbrella of domestic abuse is what we have. Okay. So because people can use mental health as the reason for domestic abuse. Okay. But really the thing is that it just triggers that behavior, but it's a consistent behavior that is causing the domestic abuse. So mental health, senior issues, substance abuse under the umbrella of domestic abuse or the family abuse is what falls within our domain. Okay. Right. Even the immigration that we talked about falls under the domain of domestic abuse. Because if the spouse is on H4 and it is a dependent on the perpetrator, that's where the issue comes, right? What Shanti just mentioned. Yeah. So they are worried to come forward because they will be deported. They have to go back because they lose their visa status. So they need to know that what laws are out there to protect them. And that's how the immigration we will help. We can't just help people with their visitors visa or visitors insurance and things like that. Okay, we don't deal with that.
Yeah. Thank you. This is informative.
Thank you. And Sudha, Devi had asked a question as to how your organization can help, and this is what I would like to add. Just like BK asked the question, right? You can invite us to do a presentation to your group where we can do the DV 101, which is like the high level
Domestic violence.
Awareness of what is domestic violence.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can invite us to do that. So it's like a twofold. One is to bring awareness about our services, that My Family Services, there is an organization called My Family Services exists in Michigan. And then what is domestic violence?
Yes.
How do you know that it is happening? And you see the flags about it, and what to do as a bystander.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to Devi and take this back to Iowa. Yeah.
And Daksha Pandit and Neeru Bajaria and everybody has been involved with My Family Services for years now. We have done International Women's Day together. We have done many other events together back since 2007. So I know Kalpana Choksi as well, So all your names are very familiar from Iowa. And we will be very happy to rekindle the the relationship, the collaboration again.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll take that. We'll talk to Devi here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here today and always supporting us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for
You
inviting us.
guys are
Have a
doing a
great rest of the
wonderful
day.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Take care.
Kalpana. Say hi to everybody in
I
Iowa.
would. I will. Thank you. It was really a good information. And like I said, wonderful job you guys are doing. And we are proud to be here to, even if we can help you, So,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Have a
you,
good rest of your
everybody,
day.
for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
bye.